Good morning, everybody. Welcome to all of you, and we're absolutely delighted to have your company this morning on, as we were just saying, quite a bright and warm day, and it does feel finally as though we can say it is summertime, which is why we thought it would be interesting to do a makeover this morning. Sally's going to do a makeover on herself, just showing you the ways that you can think about your makeup for the summer months. Now, why would we want something slightly different in the summer? That's the sort of question we're posing this morning. I think there are two reasons, and they're both fairly obvious, but also reasonably practical. The first is to do with light. And I suppose if you contrast what it's like at this time of the year with how it is in the winter time, obviously in the winter time, often we wear makeup for events where it's going to be in unnatural light, even candlelight if you're going out for a romantic dinner, although not many of, well, I certainly don't do that very often these days. But the point is that winter light, which is which is darker and colder and grayer, and also artificial light, your makeup performs very differently, and you need something different on your face to look really good under those circumstances. Now, when it comes to summertime, we're talking about much brighter, much more in some ways unforgiving light, I would say, so that if you go outside on a bright summery morning, sunshine, the sun is shining, then everything about your makeup is going to be a lot more noticeable. It's going to be in very sharp relief. So you have to be a bit more careful with application, I think, but also you need to think about what will look good in that different light. And my suggestion, and I made this in the blog that I wrote at the weekend, is that you don't wear less makeup. That might be the alternative that you would reach for. So, well, I need to wear a lot less makeup at this time of the year. It's not about less. It's about the colours that you're choosing and how you apply that. So I would put the same amount of eye makeup on and have this morning, but I've put on a summer eye makeup. So it's the opposite of a smoky eye, if you like. So if a smoky eye is dark and dense and a bit dramatic and uses all those lovely dark colours, this is about using lighter colours and lightening the effect. And with lipstick, I think you avoid the darker shades, which work really well in the winter, and you go for the more vibrant, zingy shades because they come alive in sunlight, summer light. And the second practical reason around makeup is to do with the heat. So if your face is going to get hot, if your skin is going to get a bit sweaty, I know women don't, what is it? Horses sweat and men perspire and ladies merely glow. So of course we don't sweat or perspire, we just merely glow. But if you have a bit of a glowy face because you've got a bit hot, then there is quite a lot that your makeup can do to help to lessen the negative effects of that, to stop you becoming shiny and looking as though you're glowing. I'm not going to say sweating. Okay, so there are two very good reasons why summer makeup needs to be given some level of consideration, slightly differently from winter makeup. So I'm going to pass over to Sally now, having set the scene. She's got no makeup on, so she's got a nice bare face, and she's going to talk through the way that she approaches the kind of makeup for her summer face. So over to you, Sally, and good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Tricia. Good morning, everybody. Really lovely to see you. So I totally agree, actually, with everything Tricia said in her blog. It was a really interesting blog. I totally resonated with that in terms of my legs and my face and just sort of preparing yourself for summer. And I think always, for talking about your face, always starting with a really clean slate is important for any kind of makeup, but particularly in the summer, because you might have been wearing the day before SPF, and you want to make sure that has all properly come off the night before and in the morning. So the skin is free of that sweat or that glow, as Tricia called it, and any oils and any old makeup that you might have had and SPF from the day before. So that's really important. And as you know, I love to use the cleanser, the eye makeup remover, and I always use a flannel in warm water just to take off my cleanser, which also gives me a little bit of a gentle exfoliant sort of every day, every night. So I am completely, I've got nothing on my face at all, other than what I've done, first of all, is put my Hydration Hold face serum on, a drop of that. And I've also put my face cream, my day face cream, which has got vitamins A, C, E, and F. So I've done my moisturizer. What I always say is to wait just a few minutes. Don't go straight into makeup after doing that, because you want it just to settle in, and you'll find that your makeup works better if you're using the primer and the foundation or the Light Look Beauty Balm. That works better if you just let your moisturizer settle in. So you might want to brush your hair, clean your teeth, do something else. So most important for summer makeup, I mean, I'm actually a little bit glowy. I am actually quite hot, because if I open the window in this room, everything blows around. So it's quite a small room. So it's quite good actually for me to do this demonstration, because I am quite hot already. And I'm quite sort of glowy. So hopefully by the end of it, I don't want to not be glowy, but I don't want to look really, really shiny, particularly as the weather gets hotter throughout the day. So I'm going to put my trusty roller in just to keep my hair off, because I find this is a useful thing to do. I know it looks ridiculous, but it doesn't ruin my fringe ready for later, but I can then get to my forehead. So the first thing is primers. The Smooth Light Silk Face Prime, I use it all year round, but it's particularly good in the summer and in the heat, because it really, really does help to keep your makeup on. I call it, as Tricia knows, I call it magic knickers for the face. So because it sort of smooths out any, so I'm using probably about that much, a couple of pumps, and I'm putting this all over, and it does two things. It keeps your makeup on for hours and hours, but it also just makes a really good base, so it fills in any soft or deep lines. It's like a decorator priming a wall before putting the paint on. So I use this whether I use my continuous cover foundation or whether I'm using Light Look Beauty Balm, or a mixture of the two. Today I'm actually going to just use Light Look Beauty Balm, which is really lovely product. It's actually one step up from a tinted moisturizer. So it's not quite as sheer as some of the tinted moisturizers you might get. So it does give good coverage, but it's not as good a coverage as continuous cover. So the nice thing is you can actually you can mix the two together. If you feel that the Light Look Beauty Balm on its own isn't quite enough for you, you can mix it with a dot of your continuous cover foundation. And I often do that. Today I'm going to be bold and just go straight for the Light Look Beauty Balm. Now, in the summer, I start to put a little bit of self-tan on my face, and when I start to get a little bit of colour on my face, I actually use the number 1, which when it goes on does look a little bit sort of orangey, but don't be put off by it, because they go on a little bit darker, and when you blend them, they sort of change colour. In the winter, when my skin is really pale and I'm wanting to use Light Look Beauty Balm, I use the 0.5, but today I am going to use the number 1. So this is a really, really lovely product because it's not thick. So you can do it in two ways. You can put it on, some ladies like to put it on with their fingers. I'm going to put a little bit on my hand. I always take a bit on my hand. So that's the number 1. And the packaging has changed now. So it's not in the pump one, it's in the sort of squirty tube, which for me has been much easier. You can either put it on with your fingers. I'm actually going to still apply it with my foundation brush. So I'm going to basically put it, and it's just, it just glides on, this product. I absolutely love it. I use it on a lot of clients. And as I said, sometimes I mix it. If I'm going to mix it with continuous cover, I also put a little bit of primer on my hand and mix the 3 products together. So I'm just blending it in middle of the face and then bringing it out You can do this with your fingers. I like to pat it in afterwards with fingers, but I just like to put it on with the brush. You see, I like to hold the brush kind of quite firmly so that it's a little bit stiffer. Put a little bit around the eye. I'm not actually going to put it on my eyelids, but I play tennis, and I don't ever play tennis with no makeup on. I'm probably one of the few people that don't, but I do actually like to wear a little bit of makeup, even when I'm playing tennis. And I wear this product. I absolutely love it because it's just light, the texture is light, but it also gives you a little bit of protection as well. So putting it on, so it goes on, it looks, so don't panic if it looks a little bit darker, but it actually gives you that really nice summer glow as well. So that, and what I then do is just use my fingers just to blend a little bit more. If your ears are really pale, just put a little bit on your ears as well. So that is my Light Look Beauty Balm. So what I then do is I use the concealer, which is a really nice one. I'm going to use concealer number 2 to actually go over any little areas that I need a little bit more help with. So that is in my inner corner of my eyes. It's very bluey. I get hay fever at this time of year, and I actually find that my dark circles get worse and I get a little bit more puffiness because I get a little bit of hay fever, which is really annoying, but that means I just put a tiny bit more concealer. I'm putting it on with the concealer brush number 4, and then I'm just tapping it in with my ring finger. And because it's really creamy, I mean, some ladies I know just use a lot, when they don't want to use a lot of makeup, they use more concealer. I would still use the base, but then just use the concealer just to go over any little marks. I've got some broken capillaries around my nose. I've got some sunspots that I just fill in, little red spots, but all sorts of strange little things that just pop up when you don't want them to. But because it's not drying, you can just easily blend that in over your Light Look Beauty Balm. I sometimes put a little bit just on my chin area here, which sometimes goes a bit red. So concealer, Tipp-Ex for the face. So I've had my Magic Knickers for the face and now my Tipp-Ex for the face, which is there. Now, in the summer, you do tend to glow a little bit, and your best friend is actually going to be a really fine powder. Powder has to be fine to not look cakey. I've used powders in the past, and I've had makeovers in the past where they've done this to me, and then they put powder on, and suddenly every line that I have is sort of exacerbated. So the secret to using a powder is to find one that is really, really fine. And the Look Fabulous powder is translucent, but it is also very, very finely milled. So it's fantastic for setting anything that you have concealed. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit over, just over my, where I've concealed around the eyes, and just a little bit, just where I have. You can use the little brush. What I also sometimes do is use just a cotton wool ball, just to press and roll. There's 2 ways to do that. So because you don't want to drag off anything that you put on, but powder will stop the sort of, you can already see that the glow that I had, which will come through later, it's just sort of calmed down with powder. You can also use a big powder brush. That's another way of doing it, just to dust on a little bit of powder with a powder brush. So a brilliant product, and just good to have with you in your bag throughout the day. You can just sort of put a little bit of powder on if you need to stop any shine. So we have done our powder. Now, other primers. We've talked about priming the face, priming the eyes. Again, in the summer, if you're putting eyeshadow on, you might find that it creases a little bit more because you sort of sweat around your eyebrows, or you just get a little bit more moisture around your eyelids. So I am going to use, which I always use, the Smooth Out Eye Prime. So make sure when you're using this that the eyes are totally dry and clear of any oil before you put it on. I shouldn't have any oil, but sometimes I just pat it a little bit first with a tissue. You don't need very much of this product. So I'm just going to put a little sort of dot in the center of each eyelid. And then I'm going to go back to my concealer brush, number 4. You can just pat it with your fingers. I like to first of all spread it with the brush, just to spread it across the eyelid and bring it up to just sort of underneath the brow where I'm going to be putting my eyeshadow. I'm now going to just use my finger just to really blend it in. And this will help to keep your eyes looking good all day, however hot it gets in the sun. So that's my, my eye primer. At the same time, before I forget, which I am going to forget because I didn't get it out, I'm going to use my lip prime. Again, this is something that will stop your lipstick from moving. And it's not something to put all over your lips. You just put it on the outer edges and it will stop any feathering of lipstick. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to show you 3 different colour lipsticks later, but that will just give this time to dry. So that is the lip prime, which is brilliant too. So I've used all the primers. Okay, so in terms of eye makeup, Tricia's absolutely right. I wouldn't go really dark and heavy and sort of, I wouldn't go in for my smoky look for a day in the sun. So there's various colours you can use. So the obvious ones you can use are cream, cappuccino, you could use rose gold. If you are cooler, you can use soft grey, you could use camel pink, looks good on either as well. I'm wearing some green. I could have worn soft olive today or fern, but I've actually decided to go for slightly different colour. I don't think I've demonstrated this one, terracotta. So terracotta is good for warms, probably not if you are cool in colouring, but I just wanted to demonstrate this because it's a sort of looks a little bit like a bronzer. But I'm going to just use one colour eyeshadow today, just to give you an idea of a sort of a wash of colour. But I wanted to make sure it was something reasonably light. But this is quite a nice summery colour, and because it's sort of warm, it actually can make the whites of your eyes look really, really white. So I remember years ago, when I was a sort of much younger makeup artist, often using a little bit of bronzer in my sort of crease. When I finished my eye makeup, just to tone everything together. So this kind of does that beautifully. Matte colours are really good in the sun and in the heat, because your makeup might look a little bit shiny anyway. So if you're going to put really glittery, shiny, shimmery eyeshadow on and you go out in the heat, it will look really sort of too glittery, I think. So you're much better to stick to nice matte shadows. So this is just like a sort of it's a terracotta colour. It looks a bit weird without anything else. Obviously I haven't yet done my eyebrows. If I had no eyebrows at all, I'd probably do my eyebrows first, but because I've got some eyebrows, I'm going to do them at the end. But there's no wrong or right. So I'm bringing it just to above the socket line. I'm not bringing it too low, but it's just a sort of a very warm wash of colour, very easy. But as I said, I could have used rose gold, I could have used cream, soft olive, fern, could have used taupe if I wanted a slightly darker one. So that is my terracotta colour, very easy to do. What I notice in the summer is, I don't know why, but my eyelashes, well, I do, they probably get bleached in the sun, but my eyelashes look lighter. They look lighter, therefore the tips go a little bit lighter, which means they look shorter. And so if I don't wear eyeliner at all in the summer, they look even shorter. So I'm still going to put some eyeliner on, and I'm going to go a little bit stronger on the top, but not so strong on the bottom. So I'm going to use chocolate, which I know, is this one, chocolate, it's a dark brown, on my top, just above my lashes, to create a thickening. I'm going to do it right at the base of my lashes so that my lashes look thicker, so that when my mascara goes on and I can get the tips, my whole lashes look thicker and as though I've got more lashes than I have. I look as though I've got absolutely no lashes at all at the moment. So I'm going to use the wedge brush number 8, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the chocolate, and I'm just going to take off the excess on the side of my hands, and I'm going to, I've demonstrated this before, but I'm going to go out to in just to create a little bit of a sort of effect of eyeliner without being harsh. I'm only going to do this at the top because I don't want a really dark look underneath. I could have put it underneath, but I'm going to just use taupe underneath. Taupe is a lot lighter. I could use cocoa as well if I wanted. You can sort of see already that one's starting to, because I've got a little bit more eyelashes. So I'm going to go, I just keep reapplying it just over halfway. And on the other side, I'm just going to put a little bit more on the brush. I'm going to, I find because I'm right-handed, this one a little bit more tricky, so I'm going to actually pinch my eye to my nose so it can't move. And then again, I'm going to go as close to the lashes as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to put mascara on and it's just the effect of eyeliner without being a harsh line that you would get potentially with a liquid eyeliner or a pencil. Even if you do love pencil eyeliners, I would still put this over the top just to soften the effect of a pencil. So that's the chocolate. You can build up with that, but it starts to make my eyes look a little bit bigger as well. So underneath, I'm going to use the same brush. I'm just going to take off the excess chocolate, and I'm going to use taupe, which is this one, which is, as I said, a little bit softer. So let's do the taupe, and again, out to in. I'm just going to go probably about halfway. And it's amazing, actually, I do have lashes, but I can't see them at all underneath. But I'm going to put some waterproof mascara on, which will hopefully bring my lashes back to life. Again, waterproof mascara, brilliant in the heat, because you might find that you just perspire a little bit and there's a little bit more slippage and movement of makeup. I wear the waterproof mascara all year, to be honest, but it's particularly good in the summer months. So we're just building that. You can see that's a little bit softer than using the chocolate underneath. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to curl my eyelashes, the ones that you can't see. I always do this if I can. I'm just going to curl them and hold it for about 10 seconds, or you can pump them slightly. I'm doing it a bit quicker just to save time today, but if you've got time and you can practice doing this, it really does open up the eyes really well before using mascara. Okay, so I'm going to use our Eyelash Waterproof Black Mascara. And as I said, this is, hopefully it will make a difference to my eyes. I'm going to do the top first, and I'm going to start in the middle. And I'm going to sort of wiggle the brush through. And because I get hay fever, I often sneeze at this point. I don't know if any of you have done those lateral flow tests at the moment. I always sneeze when I do those. They sort of set my nose off. So if you sneeze and then you blob your mascara all over your eye, which happens, then just take a cotton bud and dip it into your foundation or your Light Look Beauty Balm and just literally tap over where you've blocked and it will remove it without removing all your makeup. So make sure you get to the outer ones if you can. And you can build that. The beauty of this mascara is, I'm sort of, can you see I'm blinking onto it as well, is you can build it up. It doesn't go, oh, there's me, it doesn't go blobby. It doesn't go spiky and hard. Your lashes remain really lovely and soft and pliable, so they look natural, but it just means you've got some colour on the ends. So you can see that one looks better than the other one, hopefully. And now I'm going to do this one. So I'm sort of blinking onto it. I definitely, for me, it would be one of my Desert Island products. Mascara, even if I wasn't going to be wearing any eyeshadow, I would wear my mascara because it makes such a difference into opening the eye up. And particularly if you're a glasses wearer, it's really nice just to frame the eyes with really nice mascara that doesn't look really gloopy and dry and too thick. So I am going to put a little bit of mascara on my bottom lashes, not quite as much as I put on the top. Well, that looks better already. I've got some framing. So I'm not going to put the brush back in. I'm going to use what's left on the brush, and I'm just going to you can do it this way. I actually prefer just to do it downwards for the middle ones, and then just catch those outer corners if I can. You might not want to. If you've got very, very short lashes and you find it hard, then don't worry about putting them on the bottom, but just instead maybe do a little bit of a soft eyeliner using the number 8 brush and the eyeshadow. So suddenly I have actually got a few lashes. So your lashes, you might find that your lashes come out more as sort of both springtime and autumn time. Our hair sheds, it grows fast, the temperature change makes them shed a little bit more, then they will regrow. So that could be another reason why I look as though I've got no lashes. So that's a little bit better. I do need some brows now. So I'm going to use my brilliant Bring Back Brow in brown. And first thing I'm going to do is just to shape my brows a little bit using the spoolie brush. Now this is also fantastic in the summer because it is waterproof. So it's not going to just come off your face. And it's just a softer approach than using just a pencil. So I'm going to just take off the excess, put it down. It is a liquid, so be careful that it doesn't tip over. You can then either just take off the excess on your hand or onto a tissue. And again, the starting point is here, the end point is here. If you again go through the middle of your eye with the brush, the sort of the highest point is about here. So if you've got no brows, I'm just going to just fill in any gaps that I've got. And usually I have to just pull mine a little bit longer. Well, I've taken too much off the brush now, but it's better to build up with this product than to put too much on. So I'm just filling it in. For me, you can already see the slight difference between one eye and the other. Secret with this product is to soften it afterwards with the spoolie brush. So you're painting on little fine lines and just filling in any gaps, and then you can soften it. So I'm just going to do the other side, and then I am going to use the Instant Bright highlight. Although I said don't use lots of shimmer, the Instant Bright highlight is actually so soft. It doesn't have a lot of shimmer, but it just gives you a really, really pretty glow. Sort of luminescence, I should say. So I'm going to use a little bit of that underneath my brow and on my cheekbones. So just putting, I don't want my brows to be really dark. I'm trying to keep the look quite light, but I just wanted to fill in and make sure that they go the right length because they're not quite long enough. And I'm just going to use my spoolie brush again. I think a little tip I've mentioned before is I sometimes just go over with taupe, which I love, just to sort of, with the number 7 brush as well, just to add, if you wanted just a little bit more. But I wouldn't just do this because obviously this is just a powder. So this will sort of potentially come off if you rub them, but that just gives a little bit more definition. Okay. So I'm now going to use one of my favourite products, which is the Instant Bright Highlight. And I'm going to use this one, it's the clicky pen one. Just take a little bit off, just underneath my brow, a sort of half moon there on both sides. And I'm just going to use my finger just to tap it in. I'm also going to put a little bit just around the top of my, sort of this area here, around the top of my cheeks. So you can get lots of highlighters on the market that are actually very, very shimmery. And again, I wouldn't wear those in the summer. I mean, I don't wear those anyway because I like this because it's much more subtle. It has the effect of just giving a very, very slight highlight, but without looking as though you're wearing highlighter. So you can put it in all sorts of places. As I said, you can put it down your nose, you can put it in your Cupid's bow, a little bit down the nose, just sort of quite a pretty look. But particularly here, I also use a little bit just in my frown lines, just here, and a little bit, I use a little bit just above my brows as well. So that's my bring back, my Instant Bright Highlight. Now, even though I'm going to probably go a little bit pink in the heat, I still will put some blusher on. And I'm going to use the Peach Cream blusher, which is really nice because it's a cream which will go in beautifully, but it's a cream to powder formulation. So I like to smile. If you sort of look at the center of your eye is sort of the starting point. I tend to put it on with my finger and blend it upwards, just to give you a really pretty, this is one of my other Desert Island products. I also discovered the other day that it's quite nice to keep your lipstick on because of the colour. Put a layer of lipstick, put a little bit of this actually over your first layer of lipstick, then put a second layer of lipstick on. And it's quite a nice extra lipstick thing. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that, but I did it and it's really nice. So it's a wonderful product. I love the colour of this one. If I get really tanned, which I won't, but if I did, I could, and in fact last summer when it was really hot, I did use a little bit of Coral Pop, which is actually quite a bit darker than the Peach Cream, but I used the tiniest amount and it looked really good, but it had to be used sparingly. But most of the time I like Peach Cream on my colouring, and often on ladies that are slightly cooler. I know Tricia also wears Peach Cream. So I'm now going to use my blusher brush and just holding it quite firmly, I'm actually going to blend it a little bit, just to create, you can always build up. Really nice product. Now, bronzer. Bronzer is something that a lot of ladies are really scared of. And I'd say don't be frightened of bronzer. It looks scary. I mean, in fact, it looks very much like the terracotta that I put on my eyelids. But actually, our bronzer is matte. Matte is important. I wouldn't go for a really, really shimmery bronzer in the summer because you don't need that much shimmer. So that matte is really nice. It just gives you a little bit of warmth in those areas that you might get naturally sun-kissed. So with the bronzer, I'm going to actually use my big powder brush. There's two things that I do. Because I'm warm and if I want a little bit more colouring on my peach cream, I do sometimes use the other brush that I've just put down, my blusher brush, and put a little bit actually directly over. But if I'm using it more as a bronzer, then I use the big fat powder brush, number one. Now, where do we naturally get sun catching us? Sort of on the top of our forehead. Now, I've got a fringe, so you can't really see this area, but if you don't have a fringe and this area shows, and I would put a little bit of bronzer here. I also put a little bit just on my temple area. And then it doesn't come out this colour, it doesn't come out as scary as it looks. It's a very subtle, pretty colour. And I just put a wash on the tops of my cheeks where you would naturally catch the sun. You can put I put a little bit, just a tiny bit on the nose. I always put a little bit, even in the winter. I find that this bit of my neck is always really pale. It doesn't really get to see the sun at all. So I find a bit of bronzer here is a really good way of bringing your face and your neck together, if you like, so your face isn't floating. You can do it in a sort of a number 3 shape if you want to sort of put it all over. Today I want to do it more on this sort of area, but yeah, you can either do that and just sort of dust it lightly over. And because I put the powder on first, the powder is really good. In fact, there's an offer on the powder, I've got to tell you. I think it's £5 off the translucent powder, which is a really good offer. But because I put a bit of powder on first, you can't make too many mistakes with the bronzer. Sometimes if you put bronzer onto a face that's already a little bit sticky or sweaty, then it can look as though it's blobbed on and it looks unnatural. You don't want bronzer to look unnatural. You just want it to give you that little bit of a healthy glow. So if you've got quite a pale face that's come out of the winter months now and you just want to give it a little bit of warmth, this is a brilliant product to use because it's matte and because it's very gentle, but definitely the neck area is good too. Okay, now lipstick. This is where the fun begins, because Tricia's absolutely right. A lipstick just finishes off a summer look, and I totally agree that you want it to be a little bit zingier. So I'm going to use 3 lipsticks, and I am going to just get my tissues. Right. Okay, I'm going to use first of all amber, which is, because I've gone for sort of the terracotta, the terracotta look. Amber is quite a nice, it's a warm colour. I would normally put it on with a lip brush, but I'm going to use it just straight from the bullet just to save time today. So this is quite a new lipstick colour. But you can sort of, actually, let me take my roller out to start with. So you can sort of see that works quite nicely with the terracotta and the sort of the warmer look. So that is amber. I very stupidly did not bring any cotton pads, so I'm going to use a tissue, which I would not normally do. So let's just pick that up. Right, the next one, which you've seen me wear so many times, which is my personal favourite summer colour for me, is coral, true coral. And I wear a lot of coral in my clothing as well. So this one I love. I just love it. I wear this one a lot because I wear, as I said, I wear coral, and it just makes your teeth look whiter. Really like it. This will be my go-to sort of summer. Love it. If you want to be a little bit bolder and you've not tried the slightly bolder, vibrant colours, as Tricia said, fuchsia, fantastic for cool. For warmth, poppy. Poppy is a beautiful colour. So poppy is one step up from true coral. It's a red, but it's a warm red. It won't look quite the same when I do it on the screen, I think, as it does in real life, but just to give you an idea. So it's brighter than I would normally wear, but in the summer light, particularly depending on what I'm wearing, if I'm wearing sort of lighter colours like this, then I think I can get away with it as a sort of brighter colour. Again, if you want to wear a brighter colour but you're a little bit scared, you can always just tone it down with a tiny bit of our gloss, one of our glosses, either Summer, I think it's called Summer Blaze. This is quite a bright one, but I'm actually going to go for the warm one, just to show you another look, just to put a little bit of gloss just in the centre. Just like that, just to sort of tone it down a little bit. And again, the powder is a really good way of keeping your lipstick on until we get our long-lasting lipsticks. I should have done this before the gloss, but just to show you. So forget that I put the gloss on. If you blot and then actually put a little bit of powder through the tissue. So take a powder brush, powder through, you can put a little bit directly on, and then you can put another layer on. So I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to go back to my coral. Just as well. And I think we are there just about. So that is my summer look. I'll just take my hair out. I look a little bit better with my hair down too, hopefully. But I will be taking my powder with me. Just another little thing I just want to mention. If you get really hot, this is a then spritzer. It's just water. And I keep it in the fridge in the summer. And if you get really hot and you just feel yourself heating up, even if you've got makeup on, just spraying with water can cool you down. Or at the end of your makeup, if you really want it to last, using a setting spray right at the end, like Model in a Bottle or Urban Decay do one called All Nighter. That's a really good thing to use as well. And just last but not least, blotting. Some ladies like to use blotting papers if they get really oily. So like little tissue things that you can just blot. But you shouldn't need to do that if you use the primers and you've used the powder and you've got the powder with you, but just some other ideas for the heat, for keeping your makeup on. Okay, thank you, Tricia. I think I've finished.
Thank you, Sally. You look absolutely gorgeous. I love the way that your face reads with the colours that you've used, by which I mean the terracotta that you've got on your eyelids, with the true coral that you're now wearing, plus that little bit of bronzer. All of those things together and you know, just literally brings your whole face to life, and looks gorgeous. So yeah, thank you very much for doing that. It's really, really nice. Just I've also put on a summer face this morning, and just what I'm wearing. So Sally showed you the combination of the Light Look Beauty Balm, and she just put Light Look Beauty Balm on. This morning, I need a little bit more coverage. I've actually got a nasty spot here. My skin needs more unifying than at this moment anyway, because actually I've got absolutely no colour on my face. The weather's been so dreadful. I used a mixture of the Light Look Beauty Balm 01 and my normal continuous cover foundation 02. Roughly, I would say slightly more of the foundation than the Light Look Beauty Balm, but I definitely use some of the Light Look Beauty Balm just to make it a little bit lighter and also to warm up my skin a bit. So I did that this morning. I also used the powder. We've got this offer, so £5 off, and the code for it, if you want to get that off, is FIX, F-I-X, quite simple. So I totally support what Sally's saying. A little bit of translucent face powder before you put your bronzer on, because actually if you do that, it smooths the skin, and then when you come to put your bronzer on, it will slide over your skin, not get stuck, and you won't sort of get lumps of that bronzer in terms of colour, sort of lumpy colour, which you don't want. You just want it to look sun-washed, sun-kissed. On my eyes today, what I did, I used Lilac Mist on the lid, and then I used Bluebell above. So they're two colours. I mean, Lilac Mist is a pale colour, but the Bluebell I think of as, I would also use Bluebell sometimes as a wash of colour, a bit like Sally used Terracotta. And then on my eyelid, lids along my lash line, I used Pewter. So again, pewter is not a very dark colour. It's not it's not one of our darkest colours, and a little bit of fuchsia underneath, and then I use the mascara. And my favourite summer lipstick of all time is fuchsia. I reach for fuchsia as soon as the summer comes around. I rarely wear it in the winter. It doesn't seem to work for me as a winter base. I love very berry in the winter, colours like that, slightly more what you call fruit, autumn fruit colours, the plums, the berries, that kind of thing. This to me just says summer, and because I'm cool toned, it really works with all the clothes that I wear. So I've already started that adaptation towards the summer face, and totally support what Sally was saying, what I wrote in my blog this week about getting your skin in good shape. I mean, you should get your skin in good shape all the time, but being careful to exfoliate thoroughly and so on. So I hope we've got a few questions. Let's see if we have got some questions. So Bryony,
hello, yes, we have had a couple of questions. So first question's from Liz. She said, have you got any tips for very hot days when glowing makes your mascara run?
Well,
say Sally.
Well, again, for me, I would always use a waterproof mascara. It's a tricky one. I haven't found that my mascara will run with this one. And if I don't use the waterproof one, it does, and I get a few powdery lines. So if you're still getting running with the waterproof mascara, then I would potentially think about having your lashes tinted in the summer, because eyelash tinting, it doesn't thicken them, but it will at least give them colour. That would be my answer to that. I don't know what you think, Tricia.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never found that I had that problem, however hot I get, that my mascara actually runs off my lashes. I would say a couple of sort of customer stories. I was contacted by somebody, this was some time ago, but an American customer, and her son got married in Florida. It's an incredibly hot day. And she sent me a beautiful photograph. She was wearing a fuchsia dress. She looks stunning. And she said, I put my makeup on using I think the face primers really make a difference. Using face primer and following all your hints and tips, and my makeup looked good despite everything that happened during the day, the emotion, the dancing, and the incredible heat. And I had a similar kind of correspondence with a customer, and this time it was actually in Belgium, and it was sort of heat wave, and the same thing. She said, I just followed all your guidelines for how to keep your makeup in place. And I can't tell you how thrilled I was, because when I went to bed, my makeup still looked brilliant. It looked amazing. So these things that we're going through, they work. And the way that our makeup is formulated means that it is actually formulated to keep your makeup performing and looking good and staying put for as long as you need it to, basically. Regardless of how hot it is. So any other questions there, Bryony?
Yes, so a question from Jane. Could you just reiterate that sort of initial stage? Is it the primer first, then the beauty balm, then the concealer? And also, can you just say again, obviously, about the beauty balm can be mixed in with the foundation, but you don't have to necessarily do that.
Yes, absolutely. So you do your skincare first, so that can be the hydration hold, what's it called? Brain's gone. Hydration hold face serum and your face cream. Let that sort of sink in. Then the primer. You're absolutely right. Then do the smooth light face primer all over. Then your Light Look Beauty Balm. I always find putting concealer on after the Light Look Beauty Balm or after the continuous cover goes on better, rather than putting concealer on straight after this. So you're absolutely right. In terms of mixing, yes, you can mix the beauty balm, which is what Tricia's doing at the moment. And what I often do is I do my primer first, then on my hand I mix a little bit of continuous cover with a little bit of Light Look Beauty Balm. If I'm doing that, I also like to add in, that's probably why you got confused, I like to add in a little squirt of primer at that stage, to just make them all go in beautifully. That's possibly why I confused you. I'm so sorry. But yes, definitely the primer first, then the Light Look Beauty Balm foundation, then the concealer.
Perfect. And another question about primers from Angelique. She's asked, do you always apply lip primer after putting on the foundation, or could it be applied with the face primer?
Really, I tend to do it a little bit later. I don't think it matters as long as you're getting it on that area. What you don't want to do is to put it on and then just wipe it off with the foundation. That's you want it to be there as in effect really just before you put your lipstick on. So it's there as it's a sealant really to stop the lipstick moving. So it's just if you put your foundation on, you might find you're wiping it off with your brush.
Okay.
Yeah, what I do is put my eye primer on and my lip primer on at the same time. And I do that after I've applied my
foundation,
face makeup.
Yeah.
So the reason I put my eye primer and lip primer at the same time is it gives my lip primer time to dry. Mm-hmm. But so when I've put my foundation on, I find that there's quite a lot of product will be on your lips, because your lips are part of your face really when you're putting on your foundation. And I always take a cotton bud and clean my lips first, so I get rid. I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not going to sneeze. I get rid of any residue that there is on my lips, get them nice and clean. Then I apply my lip primer, always rub it in. And then, I've done my eye primer. Then I put my eye makeup on almost immediately after I put my eye primer on. But my lips are ready for when I come to do my lipstick. And that way my lips are the cleanest and driest and most likely to accept and receive the lipstick as they can be, which is important, because you don't really want a barrier between your lips and your lipstick when you put it on, a barrier in the form of residue of makeup. And also lip prime, because you don't want your lip primer to be on your lips. You want it to be doing its job of making sure that your lipstick has got a nice sharp edge.
Perfect. And then just one final question from Pauline. She said that she always uses SPF on her face, but at what stage in her makeup routine should she be applying the SPF?
I'm going to leave Sally with that one.
Yeah, again, because there's controversy over this, depending on what type of SPF you use. And I actually spoke to my dermatologist friend a couple of months ago, and she said she would usually go for the Hydration Hold Serum first. If you're going to use this moisturizer, a little bit of that, just a light moisturizer, then she would put her SPF on, then her makeup. I know some ladies like to do the SPF right at the beginning. I probably wouldn't put my SPF on and then the serum, because your serum needs to go straight onto the skin. So that's how I would do it. So SPF before makeup, and then obviously throughout the day, and we talked about that before, you can actually get SPF sprays that you can spray over your makeup, just to sort of protect yourself later on in the day if you need to. But that's what her advice was: do your moisturizer, then your SPF, then your makeup.
Perfect, that's great.
I just add to that just give your skin the opportunity, and this is about time, to absorb these different products. I think one of the comments that I often get from women, especially women who aren't familiar with with Look Fabulous Forever and all the stuff that we do around videos and so on, but they just go, oh, what a faff, I can't be bothered. It's like, okay, fine, maybe you can't be bothered that, and who am I to say you should? But if you enjoy putting makeup on and you love the result, as I certainly do, then you just need to allow your skin the time to absorb the product so that the product can work in the way that it's intended to work. So you need to spread these procedures out over your morning routine, which is what I do. I sort of will do one bit of it and then go off and do something else, clean my teeth, sort my hair out, go and decide what I'm going to wear, all that sort of stuff. And it's just being sensible about the process that you go through, so that you give your skin time to absorb those things that it needs to absorb. Otherwise they can't work properly. They can only work if you give them the opportunity to go on skin that's in a particular state, and it's not all going to slide off, because actually you've still got this residue of product that won't allow that product then to go on properly and look good. And that's the point. You want to end up with everything looking good, rather than looking patchy or blotchy or anything like that. Anything else, Bryony?
Just a final question that's just come through from Myra. What was the name of the colour lip gloss that you wore, Sally?
It was Cinnamon Kiss.
Cinnamon Kiss, perfect.
Thank
And
you.
that's it, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Sally, very much. Always, it's absolutely brilliant to sit here watching you do all the work.
Thank you.
It certainly relieves some of the pressure on me to be doing what you do. Sally makes it look very easy. Talking, applying makeup, making sense while you're talking, and also doing that in a demonstration form, so that she knows that there's lots of you watching her, and it's incredibly nerve-wracking. And so, well done, Sally. You do that brilliantly, and it's incredibly helpful for us to see very clearly what it is you're doing, and also the beautiful effects that you're creating with the makeup that you're applying, because that's what it's all about. Anyway, today has been about summer makeup. It was designed to help you to look your absolute best in the bright summer sunshine that we're all going to be enjoying over the next couple of months, and also to help you to make sure that your makeup stays put and looks really good, even if the temperature starts to soar and we start to glow a bit. So I do hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget that our offer is £5 off the translucent powder, which I think every woman should have in her makeup bag, and the code for that is FIX if you're interested. So thanks to all of you for joining me. Thank you to Bryony for doing her techie stuff, and bye-bye everybody. I look forward potentially to seeing you tomorrow when I've got a wonderful conversation with the lovely Jessica Fellows. Bye-bye everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.